Hello, and welcome to Celosphere 2021. My name is Melody Briggs, and I'm the Process Mining and Value Realization Practice Manager at Enowa. Enowa is a global SAP and business process consulting company with more than 300 consultants worldwide. We've been a Celonis partner since 2014, and since then have achieved the level of Platinum Services Partner as well as a Gold Sales Partner. We've deployed more than 30 processes in the Celonis execution management system and have helped our customers identify more than $35 million in value using Celonis. So stay tuned and listen to one of our customers, the Lubrizol Corporation, as they share their process mining journey, a little bit about what went well, what didn't go so well, and what they plan to do in the future. If you have any questions regarding our process mining practice, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone here at Enowa, and we'd be happy to help. Thanks and enjoy the conference.
Thanks, Kelly, for that kind introduction. My name is Melody Briggs, and I'm with Enowa. I came to Enowa after nearly 25 years in the chemicals and manufacturing space, where I focused on business process automation and improvement. So with that, I'd like to bring you to our session today, where we will be where you will hear how to leverage process mining for an S/4HANA deployment. You will also hear about measuring KPIs for S/4 stabilization, as well as some best practices for a process mining implementation. For today's agenda, I will start by discussing process mining in the S/4HANA journey. Then I'll pass it over to Kapi and share a bit about the Lubrizol Corporation, their S/4HANA Celonis journeys, and an overview of their Celonis deployment, the Lubrizol Celonis current status, and a few lessons learned. We will close with a brief overview of Enowa and our process mining practice. So no matter where you are in your S/4HANA journey, Celonis is a tool that can be leveraged to accelerate your S/4 migration. If you haven't started, Celonis is often used to document the as-is processes. This gives you great insight into where you need to be. During template development, Celonis may be used to quantitatively analyze your fit gap to S4 and allow you to refine and test the template for the best possible fit. During rollout, we've seen Celonis used to prioritize your change management efforts based on near real-time monitoring of your new S4 system. And finally, after stabilization, Celonis can be leveraged to monitor and optimize your business process. So key takeaways here is that no matter where you are in your S4 journey, Celonis can be leveraged. It's never too late to start. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kapi so she can share with you the Lubrizol journey.
Thanks, Melody. I appreciate everyone joining our presentation and giving me the opportunity to share Lubrizol's S4HANA journey and Celonis journey. As Melody mentioned, I'll cover how Lubrizol is using Celonis to measure the back end or rollout and ongoing improvement of our migration. Before I go into the details, let me share a little bit about Lubrizol. Lubrizol was founded in 1928 and we're owned by Berkshire Hathaway. So worldwide, we have 8,800 employees, 39 labs and technical facilities, and 58 manufacturing sites globally. Strategically, we have a corporate initiative about improving business efficiency, which I feel is even more important during these challenging times. And I feel Celonis is a useful tool for accomplishing that goal, not only realizing efficiencies from implementing S4, but also our continuous improvement efforts to support our customers. We have two sides to our business: Lubrizol Additives, where we partner with customers and OEMs to develop high-performance additives for things like engine oils, driveline applications, fuels, and other transportation-related fluids. So most of you probably have a car. You probably haven't been driving it as much recently, but your car, it contains a Lubrizol additive. The other side of our business is Lubrizol Advanced Materials, where we deliver unique formulations that improve the performance of products that are used in personal care, home and workplace care, and medical needs. And hopefully everybody has been using their hand sanitizers. We actually make the thickener, the carbomer, that goes into your hand sanitizer. So the reason I highlight these two business areas is that we have different ways of operating, which have added complexity to our S4 implementation. And And I'll be sharing some numbers that kind of highlight the differences. So if we start with our Lubrizol migration journey, we started in March of 2018 for the design and implementation. And even though we were focused on a North America go live first, we brought a global team together to make sure that we set the baseline structure that was needed to support all our regions. We went live on July 1st for North America, and then we experienced some challenges and spent the past year on stabilization, focusing on enhancements to achieve what we call steady state. And then just in July of this year, we moved into what we called the improvement phase because we had gone past steady state. And the focus with the improvement phase is improving efficiencies of S4 by focusing on enhancements that can deliver the most value for our customers. And so we're holding off on our S4 implementation in other regions. Global expansion isn't targeted to start until maybe January of 2022. And there's various reasons, including the pandemic, that impacted us. Now, in tandem, we had our Celonis journey, which we kicked off in the first quarter of 2019. So we got everything in place and connected, but then with the challenges of S4 and being tight on resources, we put Celonis on hold. However, in January of 2020, questions were starting to come up about reaching steady state and how did we know if we were reaching steady state with S4. And so we re-engaged with Celonis and our partnership with Enowa to make sure that we can move forward with implementation. Now, the things that were coming through with our deployment, I think the drivers, as I mentioned, were the questions that came up during our stabilization phase. Are people adhering to the standard processes? How do we drive adoption? Where do we need to do training? And in data, needing data to help our business process leaders and IS team, where are the inefficiencies and the deviations that are going on? And then I think the really key question, the team been working really hard, and so are we seeing the impact and value of the efforts of these enhancements? And then longer term, how do we realize and measure the value of upgrading to S4? Some specific details with our deployment is that we are on-prem, and we're focused primarily right now on S4 data. And we put 5 processes in place: our procure to pay, our accounts payable, accounts receivable, order to cash, and plan to manufacture. And we also are leveraging the on-prem Celonis app store or content store as well. And as I mentioned during steady state, we were getting questions from leadership about, are we seeing any improvement since go live on domestic and export sales orders? And it was a challenge because how do we actually measure that we were at steady state, especially since we didn't have easy measures in ECC? And so first we went to the OTC cockpit to see if we could see a trending of data. And at a high level, it was encouraging to see that we saw a decrease and or leveling off from some of the high values that we saw during the first several months of go live. We then drilled down into some specific views, which I'll show you, such as overall cycle time and touch rate to see what we can measure. On the cycle time, here's an example of our view. And overall for the businesses, we saw a decrease of 32 days. This is the dark green arrow. We then dove into comparing our additives versus advanced materials. As I mentioned, they have different ways of operating with S4. And so what's interesting is that even though we saw improvement of 68 days for our additives export, it still has the longest overall cycle time. This data supported what we were experiencing as one of the more challenging areas with our move to S4. And what's interesting, we were getting the feedback, but we didn't have very good measures, and this was a good way to kind of track it and measure it. The other area that we looked at, as I mentioned, is the touch rate. There we saw a decrease of 35% overall since go live. And when we looked at our domestic orders, we saw that all the work in doing the enhancements really helped our improve domestic touches quite a bit, as you can see in the dramatic percentages. However, exports for both additives and advanced materials had higher touch rates than domestic. So if I kind of recap these specific examples, I think using with Celonis, we actually saw the improvement since go live. It was really encouraging that the efforts to enhance and stabilize S4 over the past year were showing an impact. It's quantifiable. We're able to easily track and measure this. I mean, getting the feedback from end users was useful. They're sometimes anecdotal, but having it easy to measure was key. And we feel that Celonis with other metrics can really show the impact of our stabilization efforts. And that allowed us to then move into the improvement phase. So where we are with our current deployment status. So I highlight is what's been completed since our re-engagement in January, which is green. And then what's bolded is still remaining. Our P2P is probably the furthest along, and it was kind of exciting that we kicked off our value realization workshops. This will be something that will be able to apply the methodology in applying use cases and being able to demonstrate value and efficiencies gained. And our accounts payable isn't that far behind. Order to cash, interestingly, is refining that touch rate. They're having improvement phase metrics that are very interested in terms of measuring how we move forward. And so a lot of the metrics, and we're refining that cockpit in order to meet this next phase. And then we'll probably do a value realization pretty soon. Plan to manufacture had to do some redesign, so they're a little bit behind. We completed the business viewer training just a couple months ago, so I think that's one is still moving forward. And then our accounts receivable is actually an example, I think, of the challenge that you have in trying to implement a new tool when you're short on resources. And so we put this on hold because of other priorities that were going on. And so we'll try to re-engage that one moving forward. So on to some lessons learned. I think we're still learning quite a bit during our Celonis implementation journey, but I think some key elements are for success. Obviously, the executive sponsorship. You need the support, someone that sees the value in process mining and being able to help you with the budgeting and the resources that are needed for implementation. Our global process owners, getting them on board was also critical. I think we had early awareness for them back in 2019 as we were getting the system in place. We gave them a preview. But then I think re-engagement was very easy, especially with the questions around reaching steady state, and they've been very helpful in terms of making things move forward. The data analysts, we're calling them process mining champions, but they're the people who understand the business processes, but also easily can pick up and embrace what Celonis can do. We completed the training last week, and these people will be key in terms of supporting us on our Celonis implementation journey. And finally, a reminder that Celonis is about process mining. It can serve as a complementary tool to other measures or metrics that you may be using in like Power BI, Business Warehouse, or SAP. There's maybe a tendency to want to use Celonis to track key measures, but if you're already getting your numbers via other means, it's best to use Celonis to delve into the details of your process to understand how to improve those numbers and metrics. And finally, I'll also add that it's a challenge to implement a new tool on top of other responsibilities. Most of us are doing other jobs as well. So our partnership with Enowa has really helped us with a successful Celonis implementation journey. With that, I'll turn it back over to Melody.
Thank you, Kapi. Before I start, though, I do want to ask you one question. Looking back, is there anything that you might want to do differently with your journeys here?
I would say not trying to do this during a pandemic, because most of our training has had to be done through remote means, and so that makes it extra challenging. Yep.
I think that's a good one. I'll tell the coronavirus to take a vacation next time, for sure. Okay. Back to the script here. Well, again, thanks, Kapi. We've really enjoyed partnering with you and Lubrizol, and we look forward to supporting you and your organization as you continue to expand your process mining competence and those value realization phases that are still not quite in the green, that we're working on. Before we take a question or two, I do want to take just a quick moment to share with all of you on the line today a little bit about Enowa. Enowa is a global business process consulting company, and we have more than 300 consultants worldwide. We operate in the verticals for chemicals and pharma, discrete manufacturing, aerospace and defense, food, and distribution. We are an SAP Gold partner, And we've been a Celonis partner since 2014 and have achieved the ranking of a gold sales partner and a platinum services partner, which is the highest level for implementation partners. We're very proud of that. We have a dedicated team of Celonis certified sales professionals, data analysts, data engineers, and even 2 newly certified business value architects. So we look forward to bringing that to our friends in the Celonis ecosystem. We have deployed many standard and non-standard processes across multiple source systems, of course, like SAP and S4HANA, Oracle, Salesforce, JDE, Infor, and many others, even Excel spreadsheets. We have identified more than $20 million in value realized for our customers, and we look forward to helping any of you with your process mining journey.